Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to do a flip through on how I am planning on using my 2021 Hobonichi cousin. I do have my 2020 Hobonichi here with me as well because I'll kind of do a compare and contrast between how I used this planner in 2020 versus the changes I'm going to be making for 2021. So first of all, let's just start with a little bit of a chunk update. I get asked about this quite a bit to see how much my planner kind of chunks up by adding stickers and the weekly and the daily spreads. I consider myself to be a little, less crazy when it comes to putting down stickers compared to like someone who would use, say, a kit every week. But I do get probably like a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of growth, and I do have my 2019 also, which I think is even thicker yet. So I do still have 30 days about to go left in my 2020, but you'll see that 2019 was pretty thick, 2020 a little bit thinner, and I'm hoping 2021 will be thinner even yet. So for those of you that are curious, that's how much mine has grown so far this year. So let's get into how I will be using each of these spreads. So the first thing that I did in my Hobonichi cousin is I put down a vinyl. This is 2021. This is from Virgo and Paper. I will link her shop down below. I just love the chunky numbers. And if you guys have seen any of my other setups, you would know that I'm kind of a sucker for stars and moons. So this is right up my alley, and I like the size for this title page. So I went ahead and put that down. And then we move into the 3-year calendar spread. So in 2020, I did purchase a kit from Virgo and Paper, and it's a beautiful kit actually, but it gave you like some nicer date covers for 2020, 2021, and then it covered up 2019 with this large sticker. I had intended to put down my goals or my word of the year, but honestly just never ended up using it. So this year I am just planning on kind of leaving it blank. I did go ahead and I took a zig dot in platinum and I marked out my paydays between my husband and I, so I would have a nice quick reference to see which months were a 5-paycheck month versus a 4-paycheck month, since we do get paid on alternating weeks. And I thought that this would be one nice place to see all of our paydays. I will reference 2022 dates as needed. I'm sure I will not reference last year, but I'm not going to bother getting a kit for it because it was a spread I didn't use in 2019, so we're just going to leave it blank. This is probably where I am making the biggest changes. If you have seen my 2020 or my 2019 Hobonichi cousin, you'll know that I have done a calendex in here, and this has worked out really well for me in the past, but I'm realizing that I actually don't reference the spread as much as I thought I would. So what I did in 2020 is essentially this is an index of everything that is on that specific daily page. So if I were to flip back into my dailies on the 5th of June this year, I have information on how to take care of a Palm Majesty. And if you go here, the 6th on the 5th, Palm Majesty, and it is highlighted purple because that is what I consider reference information. It's not a tracker, a list, or a memory. It's just something that I would reference in the future. And this is what I did in 2019, and it's what I've continued to do in 2020. And I have a nice little key for color coding. I like to color code because if I know I'm looking for reference information, I'm just going to skim through the purple, and it makes finding things within my planner so much easier. So for 2021, I'm not going to give up indexing. I'm just moving it elsewhere because I have always wanted to use this as a year-long habit tracker. I see pictures all the time on Instagram and it looks so satisfying. And if you guys know me, you know I love a good habit tracker. Once I determine how I will break this down and what I'm specifically going to track after I get through my goals, I will probably do a quick video showing how that got set up, since I'm sure there will be lots of questions. The only other thing I'm going back and forth on is potentially using this for daily gratitude instead, but I think the habit tracker is going to win out because I do really love a good habit tracker. So what I will do is I'm going to come up with like an icon system for each of the things that I'm going to track, and I will just draw in, or maybe I'll create a sticker, I'm not sure. So I'll do a little icon. I'll keep a key of what those icons are so I can see what I was tracking for 2021. But in the remaining space, I'm going to be tracking what I consider to be adulting things that happen that month, such as if I have big bills that are due, like my car insurance, when my vehicle registration is due. Did I have a doctor appointment? When was our rent or a lease renew? Some of those higher level things that I need to keep track of, because I think having one quick reference sheet to see all those major adult things that happened in 2021 will be relatively useful. And then down in this bottom space, if I go with my habit trackers here, I'm just going to summarize. So if one of my goals was to say working out, then I will count up how many times I checked off workout in January and say I work out 15 out of 31 days. I will write that down so I can very quickly say, okay, am I doing good on my goals before moving on to the next month, or do I need to reevaluate? Ideally, I'd like to track the same things over the course of the entire year, but I'm not going to preset it up because I do recognize that your goals change throughout the year if 2020 taught us anything. So I will kind of set up what I'm going to track 1 month at a time, and if they change, that's totally fine with me. The other thing I'm doing for 2021 is I'm really keeping track of my planner spending. Planning is a hobby. It is something I seriously enjoy. If you've been following me on Instagram, though, you'll know I've been kind of diving into the idea of shopping my stash and in general, doing more of a low buy year when it comes to planner supplies. I know I will make some planner purchases, so I'm not calling it like a no buy or a zero planner spend year, but I'm going to keep better track of it and try and work on being less impulsive with my purchases. And something I want to track at the end of the month is my total accumulative planner spend for the month. So I'm going to keep track of that down in this bottom section as well. So this planner does have this like future log spread for 6 months at a time, and I will use the second half of the month the same as the first, or at least that's what I've done traditionally. Next, we move into the monthly spreads, and this is also where I'm changing things up a little bit. So for 2019 and 2020, I have primarily used my monthly spreads as a place to keep track of highlights. So I will put down a character sticker a day and then do like a top memory, the biggest thing that happened that day, or just some little moment that I would like to remember. This is a great way to get through some character stickers if you have a rather large collection like I have. I've been in the planning community for about 5 years with stickers, and it really starts to add up. So this was a good way over the last couple of years for me to kind of get through some of those stickers, and it was a good sort of visual gratitude log to find something special about every single day. So I do really enjoy this, but what I found is I don't go back and look at this. I don't go back to enjoy all those little moments like I really wanted to. So I am switching this up for 2021. I am really just focusing on using this more functionally. So essentially, I'm going to be using all of my monthly spreads as my future log, my pre-planner. As events come in, I want to put them directly into the monthlies. And if they don't happen, I'm just going to draw a line through them and cancel it out. Not a big deal. I want these to feel very functional. So I will do all of my events and appointments directly on the month. I will typically do birthdays or all-day events kind of up in these top bar section. And then the sidebar over the last couple of years I've used off and on as a habit tracker, but I'm just going to use this directly as an inbox for monthly tasks and things that I want to accomplish. So if I think of something I need to accomplish in the month of January, but we're not in January yet, I will just log it here as an inbox for the month and check things off or cross them off if they are no longer applicable. I will probably still go in and use some stickers and record a few highlights, memories, and events, because we know I can't help myself when it comes to a good character sticker, but really I'm focusing on using these as like a true pre-planner. All right, so moving on to the weekly spreads, there are not going to be a whole lot of major changes. If you have followed my Hobonichi cousin on Instagram or on YouTube, I typically will pre-plan my weekly spreads at like a Friday or Saturday the week before, and then on a day-by-day basis, I will go in, check things off, add memories. If I've been using my ring planner or like a bullet journal, I will sort of true up from day to day as part of my evening routine, and that is absolutely not changing. These are the spreads I actually find to be the most functional from 2019 and 2020. I pull my 2019 Hobonichi cousin off the shelf at least once a week to remember when we paid something or when something happens, somebody's birthday, and we reference these quite a lot. I say we because even my husband will ask me to pull it off to look up something for him. So these spreads are going to continue to be a hybrid of my weekly game plan. So I will pre-plan my weeks and just put things in where I think I want to accomplish them. And then at the end of the day, I will true them up and add any little memories or moments or small notes that I want to remember for years to come will end up in here. So no real changes there. I have used this sidebar really more for trackers, more so than like a weekly to-do list over the last couple years in this planner, and I will continue that. I am planning on tracking my work hours, my weekly goal habit tracker, what I am reading, and then I do want to put some emphasis on tracking in the weather because that is something that I'm noticing we enjoy remembering if it was like a nice day in January or if it was a really crappy rainy day. So that is something that I want to add to my weekly trackers. The other thing that I kind of want to change is I mentioned that I do my plan with me on the Friday or Saturday before the week starts, and I think I want to start handling my pre-planning more on a monthly basis. So sit down at the beginning of January, look at everything that I have pre-planned in my January monthly, and then just go ahead and put things in more or less for like 2 to 3 to 4 weeks at a time and just get it all on here so I don't need to sit down and do like a weekly plan with me each week. I don't know if that will stick because I do like having these be a little bit more accurate with what actually happens, since I do kind of consider this to be my archive, but I also am recognizing that I would rather just kind of get everything in and true it up as I go versus like sitting down and doing this on a week by week basis, because letting those things kind of queue up, I find things slip through the cracks a little bit better versus if I just write it down on one of the weeks, and if I no longer need it, crossing it off is a little bit better for the way I handle future planning. So that is something that I would like to change. I'm also going to try and do a monthly color theme. If you have seen any of my plan with me's, I kind of just choose a different like Mildliner or a Tombow as like an accent color to use from week to week. And I think what I'm going to do is basically just choose one highlighter or marker to use for an entire month. And that way that I can kind of see as the months go by and make things look a little bit more cohesive. So that is the current plan, but I reserve the right to change that plan. Okay, so this is a spread that I have underutilized over the last couple years. In 2020, I was planning on doing quarterly goals and breaking this into 4 pages, and honestly, I am pretty sure this page is still completely blank. Yep, did not get used at all. So what I am planning on doing is basically moving my index to these 2 pages. I'm going to split it up into 3 columns, and I'm just going to index what I know I will need to find later, just like I do in a regular bullet journal. So that means, like, compared to what I was using this page for as my index, there's a lot of things indexed on here because there's something on that page, but it's information I honestly have never needed to look up. I don't need to find. It's a lot of daily journaling that I don't need to reference later because I honestly don't go back and read my own journaling. Journaling is kind of about like getting the thoughts out of my system and onto paper, and then I kind of move on from there. But there's a lot of this stuff that is indexed that honestly I just don't need, and it actually makes finding what I do need to find a little bit more challenging. So what I will do here is I'm going to split this into 3 columns per page, and then I will write down the date as my page number. So if something was written on June 10th, I will write, 6-10 as my page number. I will write down what it is that I'm indexing, and I will bring my color code that I've used over the last couple of years into this spread as well, so that I will highlight based off of what type of information is indexed so that I can find it later. I will tab this page as well, so it will be very easy to find, the same way I have tabbed my future Calendex page in my previous year's planners. But I think that this will force me to use this page and will only be information I really think I will want to find again indexed, versus every single little thing or finding something that I need to index, which really just made it a little bit less functional when I was trying to find what I needed within the year. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the daily pages. So something that these planners have at the beginning of each month is this nice blank page, and I've used them over the last couple years in different ways, but what I've recently done over the last quarter of 2020 that I find I'm really enjoying is doing a mind map at the beginning of the month, where I kind of brainstorm out what are my monthly goals, what are the big things that I need to get done, what's something I want to do just for me, for fun and entertainment, all of that kind of stuff. And that is something I'm really enjoying. So I'm going to start the year off doing just the same thing at the first monthly blank page. So I'm planning on mind mapping specifically the goals for the month, things I need to accomplish, and things I want to do for myself for fun. The daily pages I will more or less be using the same way. They're kind of whatever I need them to be, and I don't follow the same layout from day to day. Over the last couple of years, every page looks a little bit different, but essentially what I will be doing is dividing the page in half in my mind, and the right hand side of the page I will reserve for daily journaling. I will flip this up just depending on what I feel like, but I do like to do a little bit of journaling each day. I don't have any rules when it comes to my journaling. I just put pen to paper, and whatever comes out, comes out. Sometimes it's a couple sentences. Sometimes I will write the whole page out. Sometimes I will take up the entire page versus just the column I had intended. It's just whatever I need it to be that day. And then this innermost column, I'm essentially going to be doing my typical bullet journaling. Just like I have over the last couple of years. If I need a to-do list, if I'm indexing something, if it's a list of information that I need, reference for a project like a big task, if I've broken down all the subtasks that I need to do, packing lists, grocery lists, lists of my favorite movies, things I want to buy, things I want to sell, all those kind of things I will do kind of in this second half portion of the page. And this is typically what I will end up indexing on this 2-page spread, just like I did in the front of my planner, but only if I need to find it again. Sometimes I do a shopping list and I get through it really quick and I don't actually need to look that up again. So then I won't be indexing it if I don't need it. And the bullet journaling is not date specific. So I'm literally just going to go through and use these sections as needed as I flip throughout the planner, versus being like, this is everything I need to get done on the first, or this is everything I need to get done on the second. I'm just going to be kind of bullet journaling as I go, just like I do with like a normal daily log in any of my other planners or bullet journals, if you have seen some of those. So there are a few pages in the back that I want to talk about as well that I am planning on using. So back here, there is a favorites page. You get 12 sections to keep track of favorites. So I will be using one for each month of 2021. There are about 4 lines where you can do the 5 stars. I will be using 3 of them to keep track of my favorite song, album, or artist of the month. I like to keep track of like a beauty, skincare, clothing thing, because it's really interesting to see how my style changes from month to month, or if I'm really into a specific skincare product that I find that is working well. I like to have a log of that. I kept track of these things at the top of my future log in 2020, which I liked having, but I'm just going to move it back to this page so that it gets utilized. And then I'm also going to keep track of like a fan fiction or a book or an anime that I'm really into, so something for fun. The My 100 list, I'm going to be keeping track of our marriage moments. So I have traditionally done spread within a bullet journal, and they kind of get logged within my weeklies anyway as like little memories throughout the week, but sometimes I just think it's going to be nice to have a big cohesive list of 100 fun marriage moments from 2021. So this could be as small as just logging something that my husband said that I thought was funny, or maybe he did something sweet for me or went out of his way to do just a little something here or there, and I just want to kind of keep track of that. I imagine there will be way more than 100 little moments in our marriage, and there may be 100 negative moments as well, but I think having one nice cohesive list of 100 positive interactions for our marriage is going to be really fun to review on over the years or for years to come, and pulling them up and seeing. I didn't use this page in 2020, and I'm kind of tempted to go back and sort through all my weeklies and see if I can find 100 little marriage moments and fill it out, because I think having just like one positive place is going to be really nice to reflect on. So that is my plan for that page. I don't think I am using any of these other pages in the back, and that's my tentative plan for 2021. I am definitely liable to switch up how I'm going to be using that. That's why I went in with sticky notes, because sometimes you have a great idea, or I think I have a great idea, and then once I start kind of like getting ready to put pen to paper, I'm like, no, that's not how I want to do it at all. So I did go ahead and just write everything in on sticky notes so I can remember when I crack this book open in 2021 how I want to use these things, or if I want to switch it up, it's not a big deal. I'll just cut out a new sticky note and update my plans. So hopefully that was helpful. You guys could kind of see how I used this planner last year versus how I am going to be using this for 2021. If you guys have any questions, let me know down below. I will link my most used like pens and things like that in the description box for you guys as well. But if you made it this long, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.